Good afternoon. My name is Ogenemine Oyibo. I hope you're having a good time here. So, our next speaker is Mr. Akinyinka Olufela Akinnola. He's an astute project manager and a captivating public speaker, passionate about impact, knowledge, and adding values. He is a business developer and professionally trained mechanical engineer who has spent the last 38 years developing businesses across a wide spectrum of sectors: oil and gas, engineering, construction, agriculture, and manufacturing. Please let's welcome Mr. Akinyinka Olufela Akinnola.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Pen and barrel. Now, first of all, I was told I was going to be speaking to women who are aspiring to get married, and that there will be some men here. I see one man, because I have a few words for the men as well. And I was wondering when she said two things. She said women aspiring to get married, and then disruption. Disruption for me, I had to speak to her several times. This word that God has given you, disruption. You know, aspiring to marry. And then she gave me some of her thoughts. And so I'm not sure whether I'm here just to disrupt your way of thinking of marriage or to disrupt the way you approach marriage. But what I know is that you will not leave here without taking something away. We're going to be very practical. People have talked here. I know it's a Christian fellowship, but you see, we're not in heaven yet. We're still living here on this earth. So there are some practical, real things that we will discuss. And of course, God definitely understands this. Let's talk first. What is the purpose of marriage? Essentially, there are two purposes. One is for companionship, and the other one is for procreation. The rest, as they say, is details, which is important to us. Companionship, because God realized that in this journey of life, you need somebody to go along with you and all that. And then procreation, because God wants to continue his fellowship with us. And that is the only way that can be done, that we multiply and we replicate ourselves. A lot of us aspiring to marry. I'm sure a lot of you here who are hoping to get married, you're thinking of your wedding day. That's the first image that comes to the mind of most women, including my daughters. You know, aspiring to get married, wedding day, oh, that beautiful gown, everything and all that. But you know, there is the wedding and there is the marriage. So when we talk about disruption or anything like that, we have to look at those two things together. The wedding is one day. It involves a lot of people, and there are certain people that are important to make it successful. The wedding, the marriage rather, is a lifetime. It involves two people, and only two people are responsible for making it successful. So you ask yourself, why do we need disruption? We see what's happening everywhere. Like you said when we spoke, marriages break up. I mean, I've seen 6 months. I've seen 3 months. I mean, even just for the money they spent, you should manage 1 year. You know? And you ask yourself, why is this happening? Of course, there's levity. People are not taking these things very seriously. There are so many influences and stimulations from outside that a lot of us didn't have when we were getting married and all that. And so on and so forth. You could go on and on. But I want us today, first of all, to look at marriage very differently from how we see. I want a paradigm shift. And then we can start talking about disruption. Marriage, is an institution. I want to repeat that. Marriage is an institution. When people say, oh, I'm getting married and all that, no. You are being admitted into an institution. Marriage was there before you. It will be there after you. It's an institution. And like every institution, it has its rules, it has its regulations, it has its laws for you to obtain the benefit. People say, my marriage. It's not really your marriage. Disruption. It's an institution in which you are being admitted. Okay? So, you want to go to Harvard, for example, some of you, prestigious school. When you graduate from Harvard, you have all the benefits of being a Harvard graduate. But to be in Harvard, you're going to work hard. You're going to have long nights. You're going to have some disappointments. You're going to obey the rules of the school. And then you graduate from that school. And you have the benefits of going to that school. Marriage is a bit like that, but you don't really graduate. But they're the benefits you get from being admitted into that institution and obeying the rules of that institution. Let's look at some key things here. Because it defines marriage. Like I said, let's go beyond the wedding dress. For better, for poorer. In sickness and in health. For better, for worse. Till death do us part. Now I want to come back to this here. Because when you're aspiring to marry, and you want to disrupt, if there's going to be any kind of disruption in the way that we're thinking, the way that we're approaching it, we have to come back and say, this is an institution. It's not my institution. People have gone there before me. People go there after me. I'm being admitted into that institution. And they say that in debilitating sickness and in robust health, in abundant wealth and grinding poverty, for better, for worse, and then till death do us part. So let's have a paradigm shift. It's not us, it's an institution. These are the rules of that institution. And then the most important thing, it says, so help me God. Because in all the rules and all the things that marriage requires, there's a realization that without God, it's not going to work. Marriage is a complex institution. It's a difficult, sometimes, institution. It requires so many things that only the grace of God and the reliance of God can get you through marriage. So, let's put that clearly in our minds, even when we approach marriage. And like any institution, for you to reap the benefits, you must honor it, you must nourish it, you must sacrifice for it. Do we understand that? So, we've gone into position one. Separate yourself. You are being admitted into marriage. It's an institution created by God. It had its rules and it has its regulations. You obey or you exit. You don't even leave your marriage. Marriage as an institution exits you. So people say, I'm leaving him. No, you're leaving the guy. I'm leaving her. Oh, you're leaving the girl. But you don't leave marriage. Marriage exists forever. And even after, you will still be there. So if you can take that paradigm shift and see you are being admitted into a holy, prestigious institution or with their benefits. But there are key rules, there are key laws, and at the same time, you require the grace of God to succeed in it. Then you see that I think there will be less people just walking out and leaving their marriages. So let's take a good look at that. Now, I want to talk about a few key things very quickly. I don't want to title them anyway. They're not in any particular order. Some people say, oh, why marriages fail, or what to expect in marriages, or what are the things that can disrupt marriages, etc., etc., and how can you disrupt marriages. I'm just going to take a few things, because I know the speaker before me, I didn't have the privilege of listening, and I know the speaker after me, I know her very well also. We'll all have different perspectives, but I'm going to take a few key things. Marriage doesn't change. It may moderate here and there, but everything that God ordains can stand the test of time, no matter what is happening anywhere. Number one, there's a failure to observe the traditional rules that marriage has put upon us. I'm a traditionalist, but I'm not bad like that. But I want to point out some things. You see, in a marriage, the wife is a primary caregiver. Primary caregiver. The husband is a primary provider and protector. Now, this doesn't mean that the wife cannot be a provider as well to support her husband. Oh, no, absolutely. In fact, that is the way it should be. This doesn't mean that the man cannot be a caregiver to support his wife in making a home and taking care of the children and all of that. But you see, a lot of times in this issue of disruption, they say, oh, I backed the baby for 2 days. You to back the baby too for 2 days. The husband too is saying, okay, I paid for this today. You need to pay for that tomorrow, right? Now, there's a difference between moderating and helping and all that than trying to shift the roles. Because two things happen. There are expectations. And these expectations do not change. I'm yet to see the woman who bought her husband's wedding suit. There may be. Maybe you did. You bought Jolakbo's wedding suit. I'm yet to see the woman who bought the engagement ring and went down on bended knee. No matter how successful she is. They're very wealthy, very successful women. But they still have that expectation. Because that expectation is not just the expectation they have, it's an inborn. Look, your wife has all the money in the world. She still wants you to give her a gift that she can buy 100 times over. Those expectations are still there. Now, for men, unfortunately, they're not here. Yes. No. When you talk about men, you have to be at least 5. Because you know that we're a brotherhood. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4. We need one more for the quorum. Okay. For the men, you see, I think I'd rather say there's some disruptions going on that we need to disrupt. You see, for the men, your wife must always be able to look up to you. And I'll explain this. You know, she looks up to you like this. When she starts looking at you, eye level, and eventually looking down, I'm not talking about a physical gaze. There must be something for which your wife must always be able to. It may be your wisdom. It may be just this your calm and your patience. It may be your work ethic. It may be something. But a lot of men, the disruption that's going on, you have a wife who is working and doing well, is okay. You can sit down, get up at 10. You know a lot of guys, I meet them, and I have a lot of them. What are you doing? Oil and gas. What's oil and gas? They're selling diesel every now and then. You see them 10 o'clock in the morning, they're late 20s, early 30s. They're wearing slippers, kaftan, nicest mobile phone, and all of that. You know? The wife is going to work. In the beginning, it's good, though. She's working hard. She's doing. After a while, the gaze drops to eye level. And then the gaze drops even lower. A woman can love you and not respect you, but that's the worst thing, and you'll be in trouble. So, unfortunately, men, if you can take the message there. But I'm looking at disruptions. Issues in marriage. Failure to observe the traditional roles. Then the other thing is having people's needs met. You see, this is what we really need to understand. And I wish there were more men here. Everybody has needs in a marriage. I mean, when I say everybody, male and female. And the needs are different. You know, the needs are different. A woman has a need for affection. She has a need for security. That security may be physical, it may be emotional, it may be just compliments and all that. You know, she has a need for appreciation. You know, my wife wants to be appreciated all the time. Me, if I do anything, if I raise heavens and drop it and you don't say thank you, it makes no difference to me. But the woman just cooks one nice food one day, she wants you to say, yeah, it was very nice, thank you. If I dress like this, when I was going out, I dressed, my wife said, you're looking nice. Yeah, thank you. But honestly, whether she said it, she didn't say it. If she said you're looking bad, I'll just look at myself and say, yeah, okay. But, you know, your wife, you say, oh, you're looking beautiful. You're looking this, you're looking that. You know, it's so important. Now, here's where the disruption comes in and where people need to think about it. If you know that your needs are affection, security, appreciation, and all that. You cannot be a battle axe. You cannot wake up in the morning and you're frowning. You cannot just be argumentative all the time. You can't just begin to, yes, they're faults, the guy has faults, and all that. You cannot continue to just hammer and hammer and hammer on those faults because you're thinking about you and the way you feel. But you see, as a woman in a marriage, and this is unpopular with some people, but I think our sisters here will tell you, humility, patience, all those age-old long things, they last forever, they endure. They endure. Let's disrupt this new, I'm disrupting the new thinking. And then for men, you see, men are very lucky in that for being male, not for being a man, because they're two different things. For being male, you are just given this special position. You are the head of the house. Daddy's food. I will report you to your daddy. You know, you are given this position of reverence and all that. You are given 100%. So it feels good. But the thing is this, once you get into marriage, you can begin to unearn it. You didn't earn it, but you can begin to unearn it. So if you want, I'm sorry, I missed out something. The needs of men. The needs of men mainly is respect and encouragement. A lot of people don't know that men want encouragement. It's tough sometimes. There are times that men sit down in their living room or their study, they don't even know how they are going to solve the next problem. They have no idea. And you don't know, but they just need that encouragement. So I'm saying to men, if you want that respect and you want that encouragement, this reverence that's giving you 100%, do not begin to de-earn this thing. How do you stay there and how do you keep it? There are three things. The first one is sacrifice. The second one is sacrifice. And the third one is sacrifice. As a man, you are called to a life of constant sacrifice. You are last in everything. So, I know so many times, so many men, they'll say, oh, they're going to buy a new golf kit. They've been looking at this golf thing that they wanted to buy. And then all of a sudden, they tell them in school, oh, they're doing an excursion for the children. And when we were going in secondary school, we did excursion. Beautiful excursion. You go to C school. You can go there by bus or anything. You go to Festac. You go to Ikoyi Hills. But when they do excursion now, they tell you to South Africa. London. The things that will just scatter all your financial plans. But you're a man. So however you do it, you do it. So what we're saying here right now is that for these are key things needs to be met. Let's think that when you get into a marriage, it's not about you anymore. It's not about, oh, we're equal, we must do this, I must do this. No, everybody must have their needs met in a marriage. I'll just take 2 or 3 more before we go to the meat of the situation. We talk about the influence of outsiders in your marriage. I just laugh when I go to a place and they'll say, yes, you are now married and don't allow anybody to get involved in your marriage. It's just 2 of you, hold yourself. It's a lie. Let me tell you, I'm coming from a practical thing. Let's disrupt that thinking. Your spouse was not born in a vacuum. There are people that they love, that they respect, that their opinions matter, and who will have an influence on your marriage one way or the other. Of course, there are limits. So, as a woman aspiring to marry, you have to realize something. You have to manage these people. You have to apply wisdom. If somebody is important to your husband, let that person be important to you. It's not equal. You can't say, his auntie, his sister, why? It's not her. No. It is. Because they all put money down when you were that day, that wedding you did. And for you to meet him where he is and like to meet him, there are people that formed that character, that formed that person. They don't necessarily even want to intervene all the time, but he himself used them as a foundation, as thinking. There are many times. I'm in a situation with my wife. I may phone my sisters or any of them. I say, look, this is. And they'll say something to me. And of course, thank God for good advice. Right? Even them, they will call me. He did this, he didn't do this. I will say something. So there will always be outside influences on your union. Don't let anybody tell you that it's just you and them alone, you and your husband alone. No. And you must manage these people with wisdom. Emotion, anger. Let's disrupt this. Everybody, that's a problem today. You know? and I'll talk about this later in my address. Everything passes away. These too shall pass. Do not make permanent decisions on temporary matters. I'm sure some of you have been in challenges before, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that you say, how am I going to even just get through this? And now you look upon it and you just laugh. It's gone. It's gone. I'm going to refer to this towards the end, but I just want to give you something very... And men, oh, I wish the men were here. Because you see, you cannot aspire to marry as women and not hear what we are telling the men. Because what we are telling the men will also give you a proper perspective. Everybody has to understand how each other thinks. It's very, very important. You see, with men with anger and emotion, and this is one of the things that your wife will look up to you for. You know, when they say the weaker vessel and all that, I know women don't like to hear that, but it's true. They are the weaker vessel. Not just in terms of muscular strength. You know, in terms of so many things. So as a man, you have a responsibility to be calm, to be patient, to be kind, in spite of your strength. I'll tell you a story. You know, there was once I go to my hometown a lot, Ondo, and I have some cousins there. Whenever I go there, I'm older than most of them, but they're so excited to see me all the time. And a few of them are young women. And our uncle is here, they always want to do everything. And I didn't know that over these years, they had a great thing on my wife. They can call me at 10 o'clock at night just to gist, and I give them things to do. So there's one particular one. My wife told me, look, I don't like this. She doesn't know boundaries, this, that, and the other. I said, what's this small girl now? And you know, women, sometimes, you know, Miss Balu, you take it to an extreme. I've laid down the rules. She can't come to the house, you know, unless there are 50 people there. If there are 49, she can't be there. She can't come to the house in Lagos at all. She wasn't going, on and on. I said, why? Okay, so I said, no problem. And then we were doing something one day in Ondo. I said, she can't come. I said, look, come. This girl is very, very helpful. These are the people that take care of everything when I am there. I can't do this. It will be too embarrassing to her to not let her come for this thing. They say, hey, okay, so you have chosen her over me. You know, women move in leaps and bounds. They don't take it stage by stage like we do. You have taken over me. Go and marry her. This is my blood cousin, though. Who's about 30 years younger than me. About 30 years younger than me. And so, of course, I said, look, I can't do that. You know, I won't do that. It's not fair. I want you to think about it. Say, okay, I'm going. I'm leaving. I see that's where, you know, when people start getting upset, one person always has to calm down for the other. But mainly, it's the men that should do this. Because you have you have been given that respect. You have been put on that pedestal. It's not free. It's not free. There are sacrifices you make for that. And so, okay. So she said she was going. After about 25 years of marriage. I said, okay. So, of course, sorry? I wait now. So, you know, but you know, as a man, you are calm. I said, okay, no problem. Because, so she goes into her, she has a big walking wardrobe. And she brings out suitcases, just knocking them all over the place. And starts to pack. So I just go to the bed and I lie down. I keep one eye open because you know these days all kinds of things are happening. Don't let them say it was temporary insanity. Anyway, so of course I sleep off. The next morning I wake up and I see her. I didn't see her beside the bed. So I walked around. I see her. She's in the dressing room. Her dressing room, sleeping. She had put cushions on the floor. Very uncomfortable because she was determined not to come because I didn't beg her. Decided not to come. Then I looked at her dressing room. She had packed about 3 gallons must go and 7 suitcases. And the dressing room had just got a little dent. In fact, she only had cleared about 1/100th of the dressing room. So I think she realized, where am I packing these notes to? So of course, because of at that time she was upset and all that. So I went in, I woke her up, you know, I carried her onto the bed. She even refused to be carried. I just carried her. And then I went downstairs. When I came back, she was up. And I said, I saw her up. So I said, you're not going again? She just hissed. And that was the end of the matter. But the problem that caused is that it took her so long to pack things, and it's easy. To pack those things back and arrange them, it took her 6 months. But what I'm saying really, I mean, that's a joke, but emotion and anger. Let's disrupt the issue of jealousy, because I want to go there. Because it's women. Jealousy, suspicion, there are things that destroy your marriage. I want to disrupt some things here. Some women say, oh, you go out. He was looking at that girl. He's looking at girls. They were looking at him. Let me tell you something. The eyes that he uses to see you when he marries you, they don't go blind after he marries you. Listen, I'm going somewhere. And when I get to you see what I'm saying. They don't go blind after he has seen you. Those eyes are still there and can still see. But women are concerned sometimes because, he saw you and then he approached you, then he engaged you, then you started a relationship, and then you got married. There's progression. But it's possible to see somebody and not engaged. But a lot of women don't understand that. I'm going somewhere. You see, women themselves and you need to realize who you are subconsciously. Women place great store on how they look. Eyelashes, more than the one that God gives you. Nails. Some people extend it to physical enhancements. Physical enhancements. They do all of that. Apart from that, in dress. And this is serious. You see, there are extremes of everything. But I feel that every woman falls in this category. The first extreme is being fully clothed. That very, very few women fall into that category. And the one is being totally naked. I'm going somewhere. Tell me, what is the purpose of a fitted dress? Why must any woman wear a dress that shows all your curves? I'm going somewhere. It sounds like a joke. What is the purpose of a V-neck that shows cleavage? Yes, some people show their whole cleavage. Some people just show a bit. But whether it's a bit or a little, what's the purpose? What is the purpose of a strapless dress? No matter how decent it is. Are you hot? What is the purpose of a backless dress? My wife, she wants to wear a slightly backless. I mean, she's in a slightly backless. And I'll be helping her to push that bra down so that it will not show. What is the purpose of a backless dress? When my kids were growing up, my girls, we had rules. If it's slightly backless, it can be strapless. If it's strapless, it can be backless. We had all those things. We used to fight. You see them with clothes, women. What is the purpose of a miniskirt? Everybody has what? If you wore, Ms. Balo, you wore. What was the purpose of a miniskirt? It has no value in terms of clothing that God said, clothe yourselves. What's the value? What's the value of a beautiful dress and then with nets on the shoulders? Are you warding off mosquito? So what I'm saying is that women, by their very nature, it's in their mind to enhance their beauty. It is. It's not a question of degrees. It's the nature of a man to appreciate beauty. I'm going somewhere, I'm serious. But the discipline of a man is to appreciate and not move beyond that. Now, let me tell you something. Anybody who says that, fine, baby, you know, go find past your mother is a liar. Any father or husband who says you are the most beautiful girl in the world, you are the most beautiful person to me, oh, yes, and all of that. But you see, they make beautiful girls every day. When I say God, I'm telling you, I remember when I was in secondary school, there was one girl, she was so beautiful, we thought the world ended there. And then I went to school in America and I saw this one day again. And then you keep on going, and then you look at, I have my granddaughters. I have my daughters. And we see all of them. When I go to parties, the weddings, and we see all our daughters there, they are so beautiful. It keeps on. If you are fighting the war of beauty, you can never win it. You can never win it. I'm going somewhere. There's a woman who said something, and this is where I want to bring this together in terms of this jealousy and stuff. Pastor Bimbo Dukoya, late Bimbo Dukoya. She would say, she was a fairy preacher. And she would say, there is no woman enough to take my man. And she says this on the podium. No woman is woman enough to take my man. It sounds like a cachet, like some kind of catchphrase, but let's look deeper. There is a lot of scripture and truth in that. She didn't say there's no girl She didn't say there's no side chick. She didn't say there's no lady. She said there is no woman enough to take my man. So let's say, what is woman? She's saying that there is nobody that can be a helpmate to my husband like I am. There is nobody that can be a companion to him like I am. There is nobody that can be an encourager to him like I am. There is nobody that can give him peace and joy like I can. There is nobody. Those things that women were meant to be, those are the things that you should focus on. So let's disrupt those things that don't really matter. Those things that don't matter. So please, do not let anybody edit this recording that I said that men are supposed to be looking. There's a reason why I'm saying this. Be that woman. Be that woman. The ability to forgive. Let's disrupt this again. Many times, because I counsel people. They say, I can never forgive. Can never forgive. And they click their fingers for emphasis. The finger that you'll not be able to click in another 50 years. But you will forgive. Remember that every day, every second, every minute, somebody forgives you. Of things that you do that you don't know. If they could play back all your sins for you, you say, I did that. There's some that you don't even realize. Offense will surely come. That's a guarantee. You grow up with siblings, you are angry with each other. Sometimes you have small arguments and fights. Even your parents, you have disagreements with them, girls with their mothers, dads with their fathers. Then how much more? Somebody that you are raised for the last 20-something years in different homes, and then you come together. You must be able to forgive. But then you say to me, Rabbi, how about infidelity? How about abuse and beating? Do you forgive those? You see, everybody has their own threshold of forgiveness. What you want to do is to continue to move your own. I realized a long time ago that I'm not Jesus. Jesus is the one that forgives everything totally and completely all the time. I'm trying to be like, and we should all continue to try to be like, but that ability to forgive and forgive yourself. This is another thing. A lot of people are living in guilt. The ability to forgive is very, very important. I'm sure Mrs. Godalo is going to give you a lot more, but I want to move on because I still have a few things to say and I don't want to take too much time. Ladies, there are warning signs. There are warning signs. A lot of us see them and we ignore them. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather by the grace of God. And a man's greatest nightmare is to see his daughter in a bad marriage, abusive marriage. And why so much so? Because it is an institution. He doesn't own that institution. It is difficult for him to go into that institution. In fact, his intervention in that institution sometimes can cause more problems. So you have to approach it with a lot of wisdom. There are warning signs. When you meet a man who no one can talk to, there's nobody in his family that can speak to him. He knows everything. He can tell everybody to go away. Maybe he has no mother or father anymore. And even if they're there, maybe he's so successful, everybody depends on him. Everybody's afraid to tell him the truth. As I am at my age, I have 3 sisters, 4. From the youngest to the oldest. In certain situations, they will call me and say, Bobo, sit down. There are some younger than me. And even though I may not agree, I cannot just willy-nilly discard what they're saying. I have uncles. I have older brothers. Some that are not even by blood. You meet a man that nobody can talk to, that is at that level of intellectual arrogance and confidence and everything. The Bible says, flee some things. This is one that you should flee. You meet a man who does not respect you. And when I say respect you, it's beyond you. It means you, your family, your friends. He doesn't respect your family's cultures and traditions, whether he thinks they are silly or not. A man who you want to go out, he's always telling you to take Uber to come and meet him there because he's just too lazy to come and drive and take you back home. Yes, sometimes that happens because Lagos is hectic. But you meet a man who doesn't respect you, who, even if he doesn't like something in your family or you come to visit one, you say, this is what we do when you're at my house, he's not ready to respect those things. run. It doesn't get better. It gets worse. If you meet a man who is selfish, and when I say selfish not just with his finances, selfish with his time, selfish with being inconvenienced, selfish with anything at all like that, because a man is called to sacrifice. Once you meet a man who cannot sacrifice, go. Because a lot of time we see the one inside, but because we aspire to marry, because we aspire to wear that wedding dress and be celebrated on that day, and all the images of that day, we don't look to richer, poorer, sickness, health, etc., etc. So when you see these things, you should run. So don't say, I'll change him. It doesn't happen like that. It's not that easy. Disruptions. I want to talk about life outside and inside marriage and what I call the intersection, because I think this is also one of the key things that I spoke with Mrs. Balogun about, where these things intersect. Your life inside your marriage and your life outside your marriage. They intersect. There must be consistency. There are three things I want to talk about here. First of all, it's your ego, your character, and your goals and aspirations. Now, don't let's confuse ego. Pride is a good thing. Pride is self-satisfaction. Ego is self-admiration. So, first thing first, in a marriage, for you to have joy inside and outside and be able to do the things that you want to do, your ego, first of all, must die. It must die. That's self-admiration. It must die. Your character, which is what you are made up, your behavior, your moral and spiritual values and all that, must be consistent. Because that is how your spouse met you. That is why they married you. So, yes, people will change a bit in response to stimuli and other things that happen in life. But they say, this is who you are. That one must be consistent. I can tell you, without a doubt, that there are certain things my wife can never do. I can tell you that there are some places she can never be seen. I can tell you, for example, that even if something happens with my wife and my mother, she can't tell my mother, shut up. There are certain things that are consistent about your character and all of that. So, and then lastly is when I talk about your aspirations and your goals. You see, and they may be educational goals, they may be career goals, they may be things you want to do. At that point of intersection, you and your spouse, you must be allowed, that one must go up. It must flourish. Any situation whereby you are in a marriage or you're going to a marriage and that marriage is taking back or reducing your aspirations, your career goals, your success, your ability to shine and all of that, then that is going to be a problem. At that point of intersection, where you want to find that balance, between the joy in your marriage and joy outside, first of all, the ego dies. The character stay consistent. Your goals and aspirations must rise. Any situation that doesn't allow those three, then there's going to be some degree of difficulty. In closing, I want to look at love itself, because everything is based on something. They say love is based on affection, etc., etc. I want to look at love itself. And I want a very simple approach to the issue of love. They'll tell you that there are 4 kinds of love, and they go and they discuss it for us in a scholarly manner. There's eros, the one between man and woman. There's philia, storge, agape, etc., etc. But there's a definition that I have that I think also helps to put things in perspective when you're talking about love. Love, quite simply put, is the strong desire to do good to another person. That's it. You can go from eros to agape to whatever. Love is a strong desire to do good to another person. When you have this approach, to love, no matter what's going around you, say, I love this person. I have a strong desire to do good to this person. And if you really love somebody, you see that that desire, no matter how you feel, that desire is always there. So ladies and the few gentlemen that are here, I hope, number one, that we'll be able to have a paradigm shift about marriage itself, that it's an institution and you're admitted into that institution. And you must respect the rules and the norms of that institution to be able to get the benefits of that institution. Sorry? Oh, sure. And I hope we've been able to look at some things that maybe you were told or you believed before, but we've been able to look deeper at them. Because at the end of the day, whether it's disruption or not disruption, what you want, if you're aspiring to marry, is peace, joy, and the forever after. So it's my prayer that the God of love that brings all of us here together will guide you all and keep you all. And that your aspiration, not just to marry successfully, that aspiration will be granted to you. And if it's anywhere within Nigeria, you can extend the invitation to us if we have impacted you. So thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
Please sit down. Amazing. Thank you so much. This was sort of like part of the disruption I was thinking about, because I don't know if I told you, somebody was saying we're not coming to this event because most of the older people have terrible marriages. And it gave me an insight into why a lot of the marriages are not lasting, because I think people's expectations may not be right. Because if I'm expecting that, Yomi said something that, he's texting you during the day, every day. He's buying you lunch every Sunday. He's doing all of these things. That when you marry and the bills start to come and other things start to happen, he may not remember those text messages. And it's not because he no longer loves you. And I just thought it was important to know what to expect, so that I'm not expecting what is wrong. Now, I'm just going to have a chat. Now, if you have questions, very quickly, please, let me know those questions so that I can ask. Okay, so just very briefly, how did you meet your wife?
Okay. I went to buy Chinese food.
We can't hear you because, there
Sorry.
are people...
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I went with a friend of mine to buy some food at a restaurant in VI then, and he knew her. I never met her before. Mm-hmm. And so, but she was actually with some other guy having dinner. And I saw her, and I thought, oh, she was nice looking, and we just chatted for 2 minutes, and we left her there with the guy, and we just went to buy a takeaway and went. I mean, the guy had invested heavily in a big dinner, not knowing that... And so that's where we had a fleeting meeting.
Yeah.
And then I met her again at Fembi's wedding.
Okay.
She was there with some other people, and then we just started talking.
Yeah.
And that's how it...
And the rest is history.
The rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, well, this is a tip for the guys. It doesn't matter if she's having dinner with somebody. It doesn't mean...
It doesn't mean... She's not anybody's wife until she's somebody's wife. And he's not anybody's husband until he's somebody's husband.
Yes.
You never know what God wants to do.
What part of what I say in Ribs is... until he shows an intention he wants to marry, I don't want to see you cooking jollof rice for him. I don't want you to see you doing anything personal for him. He's a man like any other man out there. Now, the minute he says, oh, these are my intentions, I'm not saying that he brings a ring, but at least he gives you an idea. And some people are rolling their eyes because apparently these days, some people tell you that on the third date and they don't mean it. But, you'll be able to tell who. So that brings me to my next question. How do I know? You've said that, if he respects you and all that. How do I know this is the guy? How do I know that I can trust this guy? How do I even know that this is someone who I should begin to try to spend my love coin on? Because you've said love is, we've said it all day. It's determination. It's not an emotion. How do I know?
Look, it's challenging. And I say this because men, no matter how good they are, they pass through phases in life. They go through phases in life. With all the good intentions, their hearts, and the respect you and all that, there's an age where they're just running the streets with their guys, and that's what's most important to them. They're not mature enough, and I use that word loosely. They're not mature enough to care that much for your emotions and all that, right? But if somebody constantly engages you, even when people are not there, okay, he's gone out, he's doing this, doing that, but he'll call you. See how you're doing, checking on you and all that. Just asking about your well-being. Somebody who's interested beyond, okay, when are we going to see? Yeah. When are we going to go out? When are we going to... Somebody's interested, what are you thinking? Okay, maybe you're planning to do a master's. He's asking about that. You are ill, or your mother, somebody who asked about you, who shares an interest in your life. That's very, very important. You can begin to believe that there is some, there is some interest there. But I want to say something as well. You see, when we talk about men needing encouragement, it's not easy. Sometimes, men normally they're the ones that initiate the chasing. It's not easy. I remember when we were younger in school, you go, there's a dance, and you ask one person to dance. Once one girl says no, you go down the line, no, and you must have the courage to continue. So men need encouragement. If you see somebody who is serious, it's important that you also give some kind of, show some concern and interest and all that. It's like, if he doesn't want to give you the information, you're asking him about his life also, and he's being cagey, and he doesn't want to share, because the most important is the ability to share with each other. Once he doesn't want to share, doesn't want to talk about his family, what he's doing, and then, again, that's an indication that it may not be. But there's no absolute, honestly, there's just no absolute.
Fantastic. You said something about, I loved your analogy of looking at you that way and then looking at you that way. By the time they're looking down, there's disdain. Okay? Now speak to the guys, because you said it, but we don't have enough time, and I'm not even sure you're going to be able to. But how do I keep somebody respecting me? You've said that sacrifice is important, but how do I keep somebody respect me? And can you sort of, what is that respect? Is it having a special plate for daddy? Is that what it is? Because we grew up, my daddy's plate was my daddy's plate, and that's about that.
No, respect, you see, men are there. They want to feel as if they're making good decisions, they are leading properly, they're providing, and I say provision is not always material, and they want to feel as if they're being appreciated for these things. Now, I deviate a bit. I talk to men. I've been to many weddings. Those vows that we talked about, the vows have changed now, Mrs. Balu. I've been to when they are making their vows and looking at each other. You have a beautiful background, the sea is there, everything. All this, for better for worse, are relegated to the background. They will say, and you, I promise you, you will be the rock of my... They will say all of those things. One will say very, very colorful, flowery things. And my wife doesn't like sitting beside me at weddings. When the guy picks up the phone, he too has prepared his own, saying all of that. I always tell him, wait until they ask you for Pampa's money. Your eye will clear. Or, you have to pay school fees for 3 children, etc., etc. How do they respect you? You must be a man of your word. It's important. If you say you're not going to do something, even if people are not happy about it, then you're not going to do it, unless there's a reason why you must do it. But if you say you're going to do something, let it be only because it is totally impossible for you to do it. And you will explain why. Be a man of your word. Number 2, let it be clear that you will, just as Christ gave his life, right? In the case of Christ, and I talk Kini here, Christ was able to give his life and pick it up again, because he holds the key to both life and death. If you give your life, you can't pick it up again in that name. So what I'm saying is this. I'll give you an instance. We were attacked by armed robbers in a car on the way from a party. They put my driver in the back with us, me and my wife. They drove us all around Lagos. Till about, we were going up and down Lagos. They were shooting, doing stuff. And then at about 1:32 a.m., they wanted to drop us off in Ijora on the bridge. I said, okay, oh yeah, get down, you can go. See, my first instinct was, if we get out of this car and walk away, these people may actually shoot us. So my wife was in the middle, the driver was side. So I had and I didn't think through this process. I didn't think through it. It was just something that happened. My wife, I got my wife to climb over me so that she got out first and I would get out behind her. And as she got out, I was going behind her, I was expecting a bullet in my own back. But my own thinking was, I must protect my wife. And no. I'm not a hero or anything. I'm just saying, I'm just saying, really, you must give your wife that kind of confidence that it doesn't have to happen. But she will know that if this happens, those are the things that garner respect. It's not money. It's not being rich. Yes, I mean, that's good. You know, it's been all those things that she must always continue to look up to you.
I'm laughing because, when we came to Italy,
yes,
for Mobsy's thing, I don't know if you heard about our fiasco trying to get to the place and all of that. And, my husband kept saying, come. And when we left there, he said all that was in his mind was, what will they say if there was something happened to me? And I found it so funny, the whole thing. But he was so distraught. And he said in his mind, he just kept saying, I may be fine, but what will they say about her? And I'm just thinking now with what you're saying that, I just thought it was funny at the time. So rounding up, and if you have any questions, okay, just give me a minute. Let me just ask a final thing. So what would you say, just your final word, okay, to the men this time, okay? Because I'm finding out my sons who have been married for years have close friends who are not. And they're all the same age. And these men, if it is that it's affording, they can afford it, what are they waiting for? What would you say to a man that, look, you should get married. You can't be 40. And there's some people listening to me now who are 40. You can't be 40 and unmarried. What would you say? This is my own last question.
Look, I have 3 friends who are 60 and have never been married. And I keep on joking. I said, nobody's going to marry you.
No,
because they will think there's something wrong.
There must be something wrong.
What I'd say to them is this. You see, they need to understand that marriage itself as an institution is a good thing. That, you can only be more successful and happy. A lot of men feel that if I get married, she'll tell me I can't go there, I can't do this, I can't do that. They don't want that restriction, and all that. So that's there. But like we said earlier on, once you realize that everybody must be able to flourish even within a marriage, they must be able to do their own thing. And ladies, I tell you, being a man is like a cult. When I say cult, in inverted commas, you cherish those times when you and 7 guys are just sitting down, just talking nonsense. If I tell my wife something, I went to my friend's house down the road from my house, and there were 8 of us there, and I didn't come home till 3. That is where I was. And we were doing nothing like watching television, maybe having some drinks, just talking about something. There's a brotherhood there that, just leave them. Women, they come to your house, my wife and her sisters, they will put material all over the living room. And they're just trying to decide which color. Should be flamingo pink or ruby pink, or all is pink. But they take joy in those things. I'll tell men, I want to say that, I want to go back to what you say. Marriage is an institution. It's created for your own benefit. If you look at marriage as something that restricts you, then you do not understand, what marriage is about. And I'll encourage them to get married because, you see, women outlive men. When you look at the obituary 9 times out of 10, survived by his wife and children. They are rarely survived by her husband and children. Women will outlive you. They will wear you out. You finish before them. This is the truth. It's true. So what I'm saying is that you need the primary job of a woman, that thing I said, the caregiver. You're going to need that woman at that point in your life where you cannot move like you used to. You cannot do, it's both ways. Of course, you support each other. But it's part of the reason for marriage. People say, no, she was not built to be your nanny. No, it's part of it. That companionship, taking care of each other and all that. And then again, I tell them, the ones that are married, you treat your wife badly, you hear it when you're 80. When you cannot move. They just say, I beg, put Baba, let him just face the wall. Let him take breeze there. I tell them, it happens a lot.
It's true.
You know, but so I'll tell them, get married. It's more difficult for a man as you get older.
Yeah.
For a woman, it is not.
Yeah.
Sometimes a man doesn't feel that compulsion. Society does not put that compulsion on you to get married. You are successful. Once you are successful, you don't know why the woman is marrying you. You know all kind of things start coming up.
Yeah.
So I say to them, get married, and you won't regret it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Ibiemi, you have a question?
Thank you, Uncle.
Yes.
On the screen.
Yeah, it's great.
I wanted to ask, you were talking about different stages that a man goes through in their life and when they're ready and not ready. I wanted to ask about you to speak a little bit more about what those stages can look like. Because obviously, not obviously, but I'm dating around and I'm meeting people, and people are in different stages, and some people are 6 months and you're married, and some people it's 5 years and you're just like, what's happening? And obviously sometimes I don't think it's the woman, I think it's a timing thing for men. That's something I've learned. I feel like women, we go for the man that we want, whereas men are like, it's time. Who is around me is who I'm marrying. So I just want to ask you a little bit more about what that timing looks like for a man and why they are ready to make that move sometimes and when they're not other times.
You know, you've said something that's very, very, very important here, and you've actually said the truth. The woman you marry, and I'm speaking generally here, is not necessarily the woman that you have loved most or who has impressed you most. It's the woman that was there that you loved at the time that you are ready to get married. It's totally a timing thing. And that woman now becomes very special more than anybody because you married her, you develop a relationship, you have children, and also everybody else pales into significance. But you are very right about that. It's a timing thing for men. How do you know the timing? Now, look for a man who is trying to formulate where he wants to go in his own life. You know, there are a lot of men, okay, they say we should go to school. I've graduated. They say I should get a job. I have a job. So you are going through the motions. He has not yet defined his own direction. He may not have all the answers. He may not know where he wants, but he has defined. So he shows you that this is a man who is going somewhere. I may need somebody to go there with him. Ask a guy, what do you want? Oh, what are you doing? What do you want to do? I don't know. Maybe I'll still do this there. I'll still do that. It's not bad because it takes time. But a man who has clarity on what he wants to do, he's getting to that stage where he's ready to get married. The other way you know also is a man who wants to spend time with you. Yes, he likes his buddies and all that kind of stuff, but he's ready to spend time with you. Somebody may go to his house and you guys just sit around. He's reading a book. You are working on the computer. You are not actually interacting, but your presence gives him comfort. Once you have that, you know that this is somebody who wants this companionship. And he wants this companionship not for sex, not because you are going to give him something, or not because you are going to a party and you are going to show up. He wants companionship because you are just right there beside each other and you are comfortable with each other. So when you start seeing that, you know that, you know, it's going in that direction.
It's time.
Those are the
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Any other question? If there's no other question, anything on Zoom? No. Well, like we've done with others, and like I do, we're just going to pray for you.
Thank you.
Because you've taken time, because you're dressed to go somewhere else. And you almost didn't come. You almost didn't come. I almost said to him, okay, let's pre-record it. And then he says, you know what, I'll come. So you've taken time out of your busy schedule. And we know that time, when somebody is ready to spend time, right, that person is interested in what it is that you're doing. And I see you like a superhero, because again, I see. And you're dressed like a superhero. So one of the first things I'm going to say to you is that I believe God is sending you a message that you are a superhero. Yeah. And what does a superhero do? The superhero treads where other people fear to tread. You have powers that you have garnered along the way and that God has blessed you with, that you can tread places where other people fear to tread. And I just feel that you already tread those places, but you may think it is for yourself, but it is not for yourself. Because maybe when you look back on your life, and definitely in moving forward, you are treading those fearless places, but you are helping other people along the way. This isn't just that people are coming to say, oh, what should I do next? And you're advising them. But as you are in those dangerous places, you are helping people up. You're helping people up to the level where you are. And then you move up higher, or you move sideways, or wherever it is. Also in places that people fear to tread. And I know that this may sound cryptic, but I'm believing God that you understand what it is that I am saying. That you're standing in those places and you're pulling people to yourself. So you are a superhero, Akinyinka. And don't think that the successes you are having are for yourself. None of them are for yourself. You are going to enjoy them because that's what happens. But then at the end of the day, when you look at the lives of superheroes, they themselves don't need much. You know, Superman and Batman, yes, there was the Batcave and Batmobile and everything was hunky-dory, but it's not really because they needed much. So you, as a person, don't need much, but you are doing these things to show other people the way and to benefit other people. I bless you with this word. What they always say is that when prophecy comes, it's supposed to encourage you, edify you, and comfort you. And I hope this word has. And if it hasn't, and it doesn't resonate, please feel free to set it aside for further contemplation.
Thank you very much, Lord. Thank you.
Pray.
Thank you. Amen. 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 Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.